Electronic books. Here's a sample in PDF format coming from an open access database. Electronic books or ebooks are cited just like a print books. You will include information about the format you consulted. If you read the book online, include the URL. Commercial database with restricted access found in library databases. Example here are EBSCO, JSTOR, or ProQuest. Here's a sample from EBSCO database of an ebook format titled Poverty, Global Perspective, Challenges and Issue of the 21st Century, authored by Schultz Cecilia. When you open the title of an ebook in that particular database, in the interface you will find a Cite button. It will display recommended citations in different styles or format that you can use in your paper. A commercial database with restricted access, if such a database lists a recommended URL along with the source, use that one instead of the one in your address bar. A URL based on DOI or Direct Object Identifier, if available, is the best option. If no suitable and direct URL exists, however, you may substitute the name of the database. Downloaded ebooks. Here's an example using Kindle from Amazon. Using a downloaded book from Amazon or Apple or the like in a format that requires a specific app or device, include that information instead. Here's an example using Kindle from Amazon and another example using iBook from Apple. Print journal. Journal article. In the article title, list the journal title in italics with headline style capitalization. Give the title exactly as it appears on the title page or on the journal website. Do not use abbreviations. In the text, list the specific page numbers consulted, if any. In the reference list entry, list the page range for the whole article. For an article with multiple authors, follow the relevant patterns for author's name. If you cited a particular passage in a parenthetical citation, give only the specific pages cited preceded by a comma, not a colon. Electronic journal article. I will be using two examples of database that uses URL and another with DOI. Here's an example from Project Muse database, the Journal of History of Childhood and Youth, which uses DOI or Direct Object Identifier. Another example is from the African Journal Online database. This example uses the URL. Electronic journal article read online include the URL. If a URL is listed along with the article, use that instead of the one in your browser's address bar. If a DOI or Direct Object Identifier is listed, append the DOI to form the URL. Electronic journal using commercial database. We will be using EBSCOhost ATLA religion database with ATLA serial. The article we are going to use is Developing Spirituality and Equal Rights of Every Child. If you consulted the article in a commercial database, you may give the name of the database instead of the URL. Magazine articles consulted online. In this example, I have used an online magazine found at EBSCOhost. Print articles in magazines are cited much like journal articles, but dates and page numbers are treated differently. Cite magazines by date only, even if they are numbered by volume and issue. In reference list entries, put the year in the usual position and the month and day if specified after the magazine title, but not in parentheses. If you cite a specific passage in the parenthetical citation, include its page number, but you may omit the article inclusive pages in the reference list entry. Magazine articles consulted online should include a reference list entry, a URL, or the name of the commercial database. Typically, there will be no page number to cite. Newspaper in reference list and parentheses. In your reference list, cite articles and other pieces from newspapers or new websites, generally as you would articles in magazine. For unsigned article, use the name of the newspaper in place of the author. Because a newspaper may have several editions with slightly different content, you may clarify which edition you consulted by adding final edition or some identifier. Omit page numbers in parenthetical citations because the item may appear on different pages or may even be dropped in different editions of the newspaper. Website contents. Cite web pages and related content by identifying the following elements in your reference list entries: author, publication or revision date, title of the page in Roman type enclosed in quotation marks, title or description of the site and the owner or sponsor of the site if not the same as the title, access date, include the URL as the final element. Websites with no author or date determined. If there is no author, the source should be listed under the name of the owner or the sponsor of the site or its title. You can repeat the year with the month and day in the reference list entry to avoid any confusion regarding the exact date. If no date can be determined from the source, use n.d.end or no date and include an access date. If there is no author, the source be listed under the name of the owner or sponsor of the site or its title. Access date or modified date can be found at the bottom of the website. For a frequently updated source, such as Wiki, you can record a timestamp if the source includes one. You can repeat the year with the month and day in the reference list entry to avoid any confusion regarding the exact date. Blog posts are also called entries, are similar to articles in magazines and newspaper and can be cited in much the same way. In reference list, put the title of the post in quotation marks and the title of the blog in italics. You can indicate blog in parentheses if it is not clear from the title. Reference to an entire blog should also be made in the text rather than in a reference list. The URL can be listed in parentheses. Online forums and mailing list. Material posted or sent to an online forum or mailing list should normally be cited only in the text. Include the name of the correspondent, the title of the subject or thread in quotation marks and capitalize as in the original, the name of the forum or list, the date and time of the post or message. Omit email addresses. Posts on private forums or lists should be cited as personal communications. Include a URL. If you cited several items from a particular group or list, you may choose to include a particular thread or subject as a whole in your reference list. For the date, use the year or span of years for the post cited in the text.